Welcome to the Guitar Dads Podcast, a podcast for guitar people by guitar dads. This week, and the Oscar goes to Slash and Wolfie. Say It Ain't So, as another anniversary is upon us, and we're having an orgy. And speaking of potentially sexually inappropriate content, Matt goes full review on his new acts. Sit down and cover your F-holes this week on the Guitar Dads Podcast. Now, the guitar porn stars, Matt and Dave.
Hello, everybody. I'm Matt,
and I'm Dave. And you're all lucky I just got through that on the first take.
That was a classic one, Dave. That was an instant classic.
That was tough.
Cover your F-holes.
Cover your F-holes.
Cover your F-holes. Oh, well, mine's got diamond holes. So
I know. It didn't work as well with that. So,
there's no F-holes up in here.
Correct.
So anyway,
but we had to go F-hole sounded better.
It did. I love it.
Yeah.
That was a good F-hole joke. All right.
All right. So, welcome to the show, everybody.
Well, hold on. If your guitar is made out of ash, is it an ash hole?
It's an ash hole. Oh, man. 32 seconds in, and we're right. Off the rails.
It's off.
Okay. So welcome to the show, everybody. Thanks for joining. If you are new here, thanks for checking us out. Hope you check us out next week. And thanks to all our loyal listeners. And of course, thank you to our patrons. You guys are help keeping the show going. You know where to find us on the gram at Guitar Dads Podcast, on the book at Guitar Dads Podcast. Come join the group.
Get us on the book.
Yeah. I'm just making stuff up tonight. And of course, if you want to support the show, we would absolutely appreciate it. Go over to patreon.com/Guitar Dads Podcast. And for just a small amount, you will get extra content from us, meaning an extra episode every week. Yes. And in the future, probably some other stuff too, as it comes down the pike. It's all happening real fast. So jump on for the ride. And we appreciate you for listening. And if you don't want to join the Patreon, then just tell your friends. That would be great. If you could just spread the word about the Guitar Dads Podcast. We love it.
Maybe if we get money's tight, it's hard, these days. But if you have a rich friend, you can be like, hey man, are you looking for somebody to support on Patreon? Because if you have a friend and he pulls up in a fancy car, he's in a Porsche or something, you should automatically ask him to join our Patreon.
That's right. Yeah, right away. So, even if he doesn't like guitar, he must like music.
Or if you walk into, if you go visit your friend's house and it's this giant mansion, you should be asking him to support the Guitar Dads Podcast.
Why would you go visit the house and not the friend?
Well, I don't know.
I guess
maybe your house sitting. I don't know.
Sure, yeah.
Your dog sitting in the house.
Yeah. And just your friend's not there. Okay, that could be. Yeah. All right.
There you go.
Well,
anyway, let's get into it.
All right. Well, let's get into our news and notes. Here we go into the Dadaverse.
Ooh.
Anyway, so I did mention in the intro, I feel like every time we mention these anniversaries, it just makes me feel older and older and older.
Seriously, because we remember when this stuff happened.
Yes, vividly.
Seriously.
Weezer's Blue album is turning 30.
What?
Holy crap, 30. And they are going to go on a tour. They're going to go on a big anniversary tour and play this thing in its entirety.
I love it. Can I just say, I love these anniversary tours where they play these iconic albums in their entirety.
I do too.
I think it's the coolest thing in the world.
I think it's a great way to tribute the music.
I totally agree.
And especially the ones that most of these, we went to the Black Crowes, Shake Your Moneymaker tour. That was incredible. There's been other bands that have been doing it.
I
these
saw
are all iconic albums.
I saw U2 when they did Joshua Tree tour. I mean, and then some kind of lesser known people I've seen that have done anniversary. We saw We saw, what was it, Rival Sons, when they did I don't know if
Yep.
they played the album in their entirety though. Did they?
They did. They played
did.
Pressure in Time
They did.
in its entirety, and then they did a bunch of other hits.
Yeah, that's right. So I mean, that was awesome. So, this stuff is awesome. Anyway, so this is happening, the 30th anniversary of this album, which everybody knows is the album that
The Sweater
started
Song.
it all. Yeah,
Yep.
the Sweater Song. Well, Buddy Holly is the one
Buddy
I remember
Holly.
the most.
Yep.
I
That
just
great
love it.
video.
Say It Ain't So.
Yep, Say It Ain't So.
Classics. Right?
Now, so was Weezer? I think this is true, and I know we were talking before recording, so I know kind of what your answer is, but maybe you'll flip flop. I don't know. I think this was a super defining album of the grunge era. I mean, it's when it came out, it was kind of right at the thick of things. It hit. I just remember it. Maybe I'm remembering wrong, but I just remember hitting it. It was hitting really big. It was everywhere, all over the radio.
Oh yeah, it was everywhere. It was everywhere. And I mean, but that's the thing. Like, is it really grunge? I don't know that it's grunge, right? So this is the thing where we argue about what's grunge and what's not grunge.
It absolutely is grunge. I mean, what would you call it? I don't think this is the more accurate. Now, maybe I know what you're saying, but I don't believe there's a more accurate genre to, in which to qualify this.
I mean,
you
it
think
was
so?
It happened during the grunge era.
Pop grunge.
I call it I don't know. I call it like alternative rock.
Right, but alternative rock kind of alternative rock.
It's a very wide genre. You're right.
It's a huge genre, and I think within that genre, grunge exists. Okay, but I don't think alternative rock, because today alternative rock exists, right? So
no,
you can't.
It's true.
And you can't call. So I believe I think it was a very much a defining album of the grunge era.
I mean, in that era, I don't know if I'd call it grunge. Like, I wouldn't compare Weezer to like Pearl Jam and Alice in Chains and Nirvana and all the what we would consider grunge bands, right?
Not Nirvana, no, for sure. But
I mean, they definitely did much more less serious songs, definitely a much more poppy sound, right? But still pretty rockin', right? So I think they were very unique, and that's why they had all the success that they had, because they came out at a time where everybody was kind of depressing. It was kind of depressing, the grunge. A lot of the grunge stuff, right? And these guys were just having a great time, and they're dancing with the Fawns and Happy Days, and it's it was totally different from this kind of brooding thing that we had with Nirvana, and where they're miserable all the time, and they're wearing ratty clothes, and it was a totally different thing. Right?
I think I don't know. I think you're kind of you're kind of pigeonholing, you're kind of calling grunge essentially Nirvana and Pearl Jam by saying that, and Alice in Chains and that kind of thing, and you're forgetting
STP.
about a lot
There's
of these.
A whole bunch
STP.
of bands.
Well, STP, are you calling them grunge, right?
Oh yeah, I think they were totally part of the grunge era.
They were part of the grunge era, but so if
they were
STP
depressing as well. I mean, look, grunge is
if STP's music is grunge, then you have to qualify Weezer as grunge. Absolutely, you have to.
I don't know,
because both those bands are very different than the other bands you just compared them to.
I mean,
Nirvana,
maybe
Pearl Jam.
It definitely came out at the height of grunge. You're right about that. Is it grunge? I don't know. But to your point, it's heavy guitars. It wasn't like pop. It wasn't, it was kind of grunge adjacent.
No, it's heavy. I don't know. I can't get on that side. I think it was
so. I'll tell you
grunge.
what. So not that Wikipedia is the authority on music genres, but it says right here. It says Weezer, formed in 1992, initially struggled to engage audiences who were more interested in grunge.
Okay, see, I disagree with that.
It's saying that their genre is power pop, geek rock,
power pop,
pop punk.
Weezer is not.
I said alternative
power
rock.
Pop.
Alternative rock, indie rock, or emo.
Indie rock, but see, okay, emo.
Definitely not emo.
So it's definitely not emo.
I call it alternative rock. That's what I call it. But you could say grunge is alternative rock.
Okay, but are there brand new grunge bands playing today?
There's probably grunge-esque bands playing today.
Okay, but are there
yeah.
true grunge bands playing today? New bands coming out playing like
Well,
what you would consider grunge? Like, let's use your two examples:
I don't
Nirvana
know.
and Pearl Jam. Are there?
I mean, I'm sure
And
there's
if there
some band
are,
out there that sounds like Nirvana and Pearl Jam. Yes.
okay, but not big enough that it's made the rounds and you've heard them, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
they're
yeah,
not that
yeah.
they're not that relevant.
Yeah.
My point is, could you not say that alternative rock does not exist? Could you say that alternative rock does not exist today?
No. I think that I think no. I think
It's
there's
a
lot
huge
yeah.
genre, right? So
yeah, of course it is. Yeah, I mean, it is. It's kind of like too broad of a genre. This genre stuff gets into too.
we talked about that.
Yeah, yeah.
Did a whole episode.
But yeah, I wouldn't put this sharply in the grunge thing, right? But I do agree that of that era, it was one of the biggest albums. They're one of the most successful bands, mainly driven by the success of their kind of, tongue-in-cheek stuff, the hilarious videos that they put out. I think, I think that's what it is. I think they're a cool band. I saw them once, I saw Weezer.
Yeah, I have too.
And they were good. And they're a good band, right? Do I think like all this recent recognition they got a few years ago for their cover of Toto that I thought was not that great? Yeah, I think that was a little overrated, but they're a good band. They're a cool band. They have their own sound.
I thought the cover was pretty good.
Unique. I don't know. It was all right. It sounded like a cover band to me. Like, that's cool. All right, you can play it.
Yeah, but that's what most bands sound like when they're covering a song.
I don't know about that.
9 times out of 10 these days.
I don't think Jimi Hendrix sounded like a cover band when he did All Along the Watchtower.
That's
but anyway,
why I said 9 times out of 10 these days. We did not live in those days.
I don't think Led Zeppelin sounded like a cover band when they did most of the songs that they did.
But again, these days,
shit. Something just fell.
What was that?
My picture fell. Oh well.
Your picture?
I had a picture over here with the kids and everything. It's very nice, but it fell down. I don't know why.
But you just busted it.
Yeah, it's like semi-busted.
That's so sad.
I know. I'll pick it
now
up.
Now it's like a grunge picture.
Well, they weren't wearing flannels.
Oh, so now flannel is one of the criteria that
yeah, totally. Yeah, oh yeah, that totally is.
right, the flannel.
The flannel.
Well, flannel's back and hot right now.
I love it.
I don't know.
Flannel's kind of been back for a while. Anyway, let's move on, but this is cool. I love this.
So I got a question for you. Have you ever participated in an orgy?
I don't know how to answer that question.
Well, I can tell you, you're about to, and it's gonna, and Slash is gonna be in it, so it's something you'll probably want to do.
Oh my God, I'm so excited about this album.
Yes.
So I mean, you guys know that we're giant Slash fans. You also know we're giant blues fans. So the fact that Slash is doing a blues album is just unbelievable. And so the first single was Killing Floor that was just released with Brian Johnson on vocals. Now, you might think Brian Johnson on vocals.
Good.
It is. It's incredible. Go check it out if you haven't listened to it. I think it's a good interpretation. I think it does it pays appropriate respect to the original. I think Slash really leans into that guitar riff. I think it's awesome. And Brian Johnson, this is what's interesting. You would think it's Brian Johnson. It's going to be like, no, I'm going to kill it, Floor. No, it's not like that at all. He's singing in his lower register, so it's really interesting to hear him and how good he is in the lower register. Anyway,
he's got a great blues. He's got a great blues voice.
Yeah,
he really does.
But Slash has got like a who's who of incredible artists that are singing with him. He's got Gary Clark Jr. He's got Chris Stapleton. He's got Chris Robinson. He's got Billy Gibbons, Paul Rogers. Paul Rogers. Unbelievable. He's got
Iggy Pop.
He's got Beth Hart, who used to do a lot of stuff with Joe.
She's so good.
He's got
we don't talk enough
Dorothy
about Beth
is
Hart.
on it. Dorothy, who we've talked about on the podcast as a band you should be listening to. She's singing on it. And yeah, so it's really exciting. So I'm really excited to hear this album. Slash. So let's talk about the gear for a little bit. So we know that Slash is using the Magnetones. I couldn't quite tell from the music video what amps he was using. Maybe I need to watch the music video a few more times. I'm assuming it's the Magnatones, but he was playing a 335, which we've never seen Slash play a 335 in a video or anything. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, it's kind of wild.
Yeah, but again, paying appropriate, homage to the blues greats here. So I think it's
That's
cool.
right.
So, I think some people were like, oh, Slash is Slash. He's not really going to do these old blues kind of standards justice. It's going to be a little bit of a mess. But after hearing The Killing Floor, I mean, I just disagree completely. So, of course I do because it's Slash. But so I'm really interested in this. And
it's going to be incredibly interesting to listen to how he takes these songs, makes them his own. I'd love to hear I can't wait to hear some of the riffs and the licks. And, he's going to put his own little touches on this thing. But to your point, he really did do The Killing Floor justice. He really, he didn't mess with it too much.
The track listing is out. I'm going to tell you what's going on. Why didn't it pop up?
Are you? Yeah, let's hear the track list because this is going to be now. It's all covers, right? There's nothing original on this, as far as we know.
As far as I know,
unless there's anything secret he hasn't released.
Yeah, as far as I know,
all covers.
Yeah, as far as I know, that's what it is. I'm trying to pull up the track listing.
Well, while you're doing that, let me ask another question. If this thing is wildly successful, which we anticipate it will be, will Slash put out an album of original blues?
Probably not. I don't think so.
You don't think so? He's talked about it.
Yeah,
he's talked about this.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to just become like a blues artist. I think this is a fun thing.
No, I'm not saying become a blues artist. No, I'm not. I'm not saying become a blues artist. I'm saying, do you think this is going to is it going to serve him enough to put out a covers album, or is he going to want to dive deeper and put out some?
He might. You never know.
He has talked about this.
Slash does a million things. So he's doing The Pusher. I'm going to name the tracks for you. These are classic blues songs. The Pusher, Crossroads with Gary Clark, Hoochie Coochie Man with Billy Gibbons, perfect for the Gibbons. Oh Well with Chris Stapleton, Key to the Highway with Dorothy, Awful Dream with Iggy Pop, Born Under a Bad Sign with Paul Rogers. That's going to be incredible. Papa Was a Rolling Stone with Demi Lovato, Killing Floor featuring Brian Johnson, which you can hear now, classic Howlin' Wolf song. Living for the City with Tash Neal. I don't know Tash Neal. Do we know Tash Neal? That's a Stevie Wonder tune.
I don't know Tash Neal.
Yeah, I have to check that out. Oh, is that the kid?
Yeah.
Is that he's like a kid that plays? Is that am I mixing him up?
Is he? I don't know. I've never heard the name, to be honest with you.
Let me type him in. Tash
Here we go.
Neal.
Typical Guitar Dad's fashion. Let's Google.
No, it's not the kid.
Here we go. We need like a sound effect.
It's not the kid that I think it is, but he's a badass blues artist. I thought it was this other kid that I was thinking of, but he's a badass blues artist. But and then Stormy Monday with Beth Hart and Metal Chestnut, which is an original Slash song. Metal Chestnut. What the hell is that?
So it is an original.
There is one original on there.
So there's one original on there.
There's one original, probably an instrumental.
Thought last weekend I had come across something about an original, and I couldn't remember because it was, I didn't really do too much of my homework. But that would be cool. I would. I'm not going to put it past him to put out his own original album, especially since he already put an original song on this thing.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah.
I think it's going to be successful, and I think it's gonna tickle his fancy enough that he's going to want to put out an album of all original blues.
I hope
that, and he has, and I have heard him in interviews.
I hope you're right,
about this.
Dave. I hope you're right. So who would he team up with as a singer? Would he bring in a bunch of different singers again, or would he like hook up with like another singer?
I don't know. Who knows? For the purposes of an album like that, I got to imagine you're just going to bring in. It's going to be a bunch.
Do
of
what he did on this album again.
Yep.
He's a busy guy.
It will offer different flavors.
He's
too busy.
It would be very cool. So then what happened? So he announced this album. It's coming out in May. They released the single. Then they announced.
That was just the appetizer.
Yeah, seriously, this is even more exciting to me. They announced a blues festival called the Serpent Festival, which is an anagram. And anagram, whatever it is. Sorry, it's not an anagram. An anagram is is when it's like all jumbled up, right? Is that right? Am I right about that? That's what
I
an
don't.
anagram
You know what?
is.
As you said,
We're so smart.
we're very smart people. We do have multiple college degrees here,
Seriously.
and we still. I mean, it's embarrassing.
Yeah. So again, anagram is the scrambled up, and
Yeah.
you're right. Acronym. So serpent's an acronym, and it's like solidarity, engagement, restore, peace, equality, and tolerance. Anyway, it's a blues thing that he's going to go out with like a who's who of blues artists. So it's going to be Warren Haynes, Keb Mo, Larkin Poe, Kingfish, Eric Gales, Samantha Fish. A bunch of fish are going to be here. Robert Randolph.
I know.
I mean, this is going to be incredible.
It's going to be nuts, and we already have tickets.
Dave and I already have tickets. The pre-sale happened last week or a couple of days ago as we record this.
I can't wait.
And it's
Now,
going to be kick-ass.
Other than just seeing this festival and being able to see Slash, who are you most looking forward to seeing out of that one? I mean, there will be others that will be on the ticket. We don't know yet who's announced, but who are you most looking forward to seeing if this is the lineup as is?
Well, I've never seen Warren Haynes, and I never seen Kingfish. I never seen Larkin Poe. So, like, those are probably the top of my list. We saw Robert Randolph. He came and he did when we saw the Allman Brothers tribute, he came and did and he was incredible. And Eric Gales as well. That's the only
Eric
time
Gales
I've seen
was
Eric
there
Gales.
as well. Yep.
So, I'm excited to see this whole lineup. I mean, it just seems like it's going to be incredible. So, I'm a little disappointed that Joe Bonamassa is not going to be there, but that's all right. Joe can do his own shows.
Joe's going to do his own thing. Yeah, he's going to do his own thing. He doesn't need to be on this, and Slash doesn't need him to be. But
that's right.
Maybe
Nuno.
Yeah, I mean, I got to
show up and play blues, Dave, in Boston. That'd be awesome.
Oh, hey, you never know. You never know. I got to say, probably out of this line, Warren Haynes would be freaking killer. Samantha Fish is absolutely insane. I got to say, to be able to finally see Kingfish is going to be awesome.
Yeah, he's awesome.
And Larkin Poe. I mean,
Larkin Poe. Oh my God.
I mean, they're great. They're great.
So this is super exciting. This is like Guitar Dad heaven that's going to unfold.
Yeah.
For us. So more to come on this, but we're pretty exciting. So, Dave, take the next news item, which is more Slash. This is like all Slash.
Speaking of Slash, this is like a full Slash episode. Slash and Wolfie Van Halen, they played on a little award show called the Oscars. I don't watch the freaking Oscars. I haven't watched the Oscars in years. When's the last time you watched the Oscars?
I always turn it on for a laugh. And that's what I did this year. Yeah. So this year, I think I was literally editing the podcast and I turned it on, right? And I had it on in the background as I was editing the podcast. And I was like, what the heck's going on? That explains
a few things.
I know, that explains a lot. I had it on in the background, and then I'm shocked by, Ryan Gosling singing this song. And I kind of diverted my attention. I was watching it. And I couldn't believe it. And all of a sudden, there's Slash playing the guitar solo. Oh, and there's Wolfie kind of on the side of the stage playing rhythm guitar. So I was shocked. I was dumbfounded. I'm like, what the hell is going on here?
Because this has come up in on our podcast, on others. This has been an issue with, we've talked about it obviously with the Super Bowl, but you bring up here is Rock Alive at the Oscars and at these award shows. I think we've seen at the Grammys recently. We've seen now at the Oscars. We've seen at other shows
at the Super Bowl halftime show.
Years
we
Super
saw
Bowl halftime show.
Well, it wasn't rock per se, but it was guitar. It
was guitar. Yeah. So it was. It's kind of it has definitely it has pushed itself into the forefront, and which is good to see.
I loved it. I loved it, and Slash did his Slash thing, and it was just incredible. And Wolfie's there, and the whole thing was awesome. So go check it out on YouTube if you haven't watched it. It's cool. So
all right, well tell everybody about this the Sam Ash news.
Oh yeah, speaking of ashes, Sam Ash announced it is shutting down a lot of stores, including its flagship store in Manhattan. Now, they call it the flagship store. Apparently Sam Ash has been in business for over 100 years, and they're but like they're kind of painting Sam Ash like
didn't
they're
know
this
that.
iconic like brand, and maybe they are. They just haven't been a part of my kind of music retail experience. And Sam Ash was
Well,
actually
they haven't been local to us.
they
So I mean,
haven't been
they're in
local to
Connecticut.
us. That's right. They haven't been local to us, but they've been a staple in Manhattan for quite some time. And a while back, Guitar Center closed their store. I think they had a store close to Times Square that was somewhat of a flagship store for them in Guitar Center, and that even shut down a while back. And now that this is shutting down, I can tell you, I spent a couple years ago. I spent a weekend in New York, and I went on a guitar safari, and I was shocked like how few guitar stores are in. I guess there's tons probably in the city itself, but in Manhattan itself, especially in the Times Square area, within like maybe a few mile radius of Times Square, there just wasn't. You would expect like, there's going to be some stores, and there were some. There's some incredible ones, but not a lot. And Sam Ash has been one of these stores that's been kind of iconic there for a while. There was it was called like Music Row. It was on, I don't know, you people that know about Manhattan would know it, but it was part of this. They were part of this kind of famous, street in Manhattan that had all the different stores, right? The guitar stores, but Sam Ash was kind of responsible for the beginning of the end of that era in Manhattan, because they bought a really famous store that was in business for years and years called, I think it was Manny's. Is that right, Dave? Have you heard about this?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, so they bought it. It was 48th Street in Manhattan, and they kind of set up shop across the street. So they were part of this era for a while. But then I think Manny's was maybe the guy wanted to retire. It was just an iconic store, like one of the most iconic guitar stores ever. And Sam Ash actually came in and they bought it. And that was kind of the beginning of the end of Music Row. And then that was kind of it. And then, but they've been in that kind of area ever since. And now they're shutting it down. So it's sad. It's kind of like an end of an era again, right? But I'll tell you what, when I was in Manhattan, I went to this flagship Sam Ash, and I can see why, a couple years later they're shut down. It wasn't all that impressive. It wasn't even like they didn't even have as good a gear that they have in the Guitar Center in Boston. Like Guitar Center in Boston by Fenway has an amazing, I wouldn't call it amazing compared to some of the other ones I've seen, but a really good platinum room, like the high end stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And their used gear is usually pretty good. There's usually like a handful of really cool things that they have used gear. And this Sam Ash, middle of Manhattan, just wasn't all that impressive to me. So that's why I'm like, not that surprised, not that, upset about this. But I think 100-year-old company, for them to start being on decline like this is pretty sad. And, it makes you think, is Sweetwater just dominating? Is the likes of Reverb and all the smaller stores that are selling on Reverb, are they kind of, just undercutting this? Is this making it really hard for these stores to thrive?
Well,
and I think the answer is yes.
I think it
board.
is. Yeah. Yes, it is. So. And I think it totally explains, maybe to wrap up on this topic, and not to beat a dead horse about it, because we talked about them, but I bought a guitar from them not too long ago, in the customer service, and I had never purchased from Sam Ash because, like we said, they're not local to us that much. They're close. I think Connecticut is the closest store. And so, but the customer service, it was not, it left a lot to be desired, as they say. And I won't go into more details, and I don't want to be bashing on here, but they just couldn't get something right. And it just didn't seem right for a bigger store like that to just have these problems that I ran into. But then this news comes out, and it probably speaks to some of the issues they've been going through for a long time. And that might actually explain the issues that I had, some of the problems going on with this company, and whether it's, whether the trouble was already on the horizon back then, or, it was coming.
Yep.
I don't know, but I don't want to beat this horse. I don't want to be bashing Sam Ash on the podcast because I only had that one experience, and there's tons of people that have had fantastic experiences with them. So
and so
but
anyway,
when we should move on.
Yeah, but when I was there in the store, there was some cool pictures and memorabilia and stuff like that they had kept from when they acquired the other store across the street. I think it was Manny's. And there's all, that's an iconic place. Like Hendrix went through there, Clapton went through there. I actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I think they did have like a display case with a guitar that supposedly Hendrix played like at one point.
Wow.
And so that was cool. So there is some cool stuff there, but compared to what you're seeing in Nashville, and I'm sure what you're seeing in LA, it just didn't have like the excitement that I thought it was going to have when I went there. So
right.
Anyway.
Well, anyway, all right. Well, shall we move on?
Yes, we should.
He said to himself. This week's dad joke is brought to you by our listener and member of the Facebook group, John Willis. John, thanks for the submission. You sent this to us, I think, a couple weeks ago, but last week we had Richard on from Wampler and Chase and Tone podcast, so go check that out. We did not get to a joke last week, but here's one for you. Here's an irony for you. Funerals keep getting ridiculously expensive, but they're blaming it on the cost of living.
Oh. The cost of living.
There it is.
Very well.
Dad joke of the
done.
week. Thanks,
Dad
John,
joke.
for the submission.
It's a dad joke on the week. Dave, do you want to do a bands we should be listening to or no?
We're yes, we have. So here's the deal. We have a bunch of gear to get to, and what I think we should do, and let's produce this live.
We're producing this show live.
We're doing this live. I want to get to all of it, but I want to just go through it quickly, and then in the Patreon episode, I want to do a deeper dive. What do you think?
That's fine with me.
Okay. Because there's a lot of cool gear stuff we should get to.
All right.
But real quick, let's get to this band you should be listening to because she's been on the list for a little bit. So let's get into one of our favorite segments and talk about a band you should be listening to. This is the Danielle Nicole Band.
Ooh.
The artist is Danielle Nicole. I hope I'm saying her last name correctly.
Yeah, that's her name.
Schnabelen? I don't know.
Danielle Nicole Schnabelen. Yeah, but she goes by Danielle Nicole Band.
Yeah, she goes by Danielle Nicole. Yeah. She's a bassist and a singer.
She is.
And a killer singer at that.
Yeah, oh, she's great.
Hails from Kansas City, Missouri. I can't believe we haven't heard of her before because she's kind of like she's been on the map for a while.
She's been around for a while.
Awards.
Yep.
Yeah.
She's got a bunch of albums out. She's fantastic. So she's definitely someone that's flew under our radar a little bit. Probably because she's not a guitar player. Well, she plays bass, so that's a guitar.
She plays bass. That's a guitar.
But she's great. Like think about like a Susan Tedeschi style.
Yes.
Like a Josh Stone style. Like really.
Oh yeah, that's a very good comparison.
Yeah, like nice soulful blues. I actually really like a lot of her songs. I think her songwriting is great. Really some tasty guitar playing in this stuff too. It's not overdone. It's definitely not like blues guitar. Like if you're looking for, blues just ripping guitar all the time, go listen to, Joanne Shaw Taylor or something. But if you want to look, but this is like much more like sparse kind of stuff like that. It's much more kind of, more about the songs. And they're great, and she's got a great voice. But like I said, there's some killer guitar playing kind of sprinkled throughout as well. So,
yeah, and I know there's been I believe there's been a few lineup changes, but I think she's been with her guitarist for a long time.
Okay,
maybe even since the beginning or close to it.
Yeah,
his name is Brandon Miller.
Oh yeah, yeah, he's good.
And so. And also, I'm just reading a copy here. World-renowned drummer Gogo Ray. Am I going to be the only one in the room that doesn't know who
I
Golo
don't know
Ray
who
is
he is
here?
either. Somebody tell
Okay.
us who he is, and we'll be like, "Oh, sorry, we didn't know who that was."
And it will probably be something where we're going to be absolutely shamed.
Yeah,
but
it's like,
that's
oh yeah, he
okay.
played with like Michael Jackson or something, and we'll be like,
Yeah,
oh,
like he was. Oh, okay, that guy. Anyway, well, yeah, go check her
But
out.
he's world
the
renowned.
Danielle Nicole band. He's world renowned. But yeah, check her out. And that is this week's bands you should be listening to. All right, let's go on to some gear.
Let's hear it.
So, I mean, it probably goes without saying the biggest gear news of the week, or in the last 2 weeks, because we didn't get to it last week.
Yeah, we didn't get to it last week, so we'll get to it now.
Do you want to give us a review?
Yeah, so let's talk about
it. For those fans out there, for those geeking out over the Dave Grohl, we're going to give you a moment here. Just go ahead, sit down, relax, take your pants off.
Ready.
Matt's going to tell you all about this
if
guitar.
You want to hear about the Epiphone DG335. I'm going to tell you all about it right now. So let's talk about it. It's awesome. I love it. It's an incredible guitar.
And that was this week's
and
Guitar
that was
Dads
it. Yeah,
podcast.
so
We'll see you guys on Patreon.
That's right. So I'm really happy with it. I can tell you, like, out of the box, to me now, admittedly,
well, you don't play it in the box.
Those of you that listen to this podcast know, like, I've kind of, I'm not the biggest fan of Epiphones, but to me, compared to the other Epiphones I've played and owned, this definitely feels like a step up. Like, you get it in your hands, it just feels like the fit and finish of it has stepped up a couple of notches on this thing, which you would expect for the prices they're charging for these things. This thing is $1,300.
So can I one consistent criticism you've always had of Epiphone?
Yeah, is the neck.
They feel plasticky.
They feel plasticky. Yeah. So this doesn't feel plasticky as well. Let me tell you something. It doesn't feel like my Nitro guitars, of course. Right.
Well, of course not.
So there's
definitely Nitro.
Yeah. So it's not Nitro. So. But I think they definitely like didn't plastic them all up like they did with the other Epiphones that I play. There's definitely not as much, at least from my hands and what I'm feeling. There's definitely not as. I don't think they went as kind of heavy on the lacquer as they usually do. So there's just a fit and feel that's it just feels a little bit different to me than Epiphones. Maybe this is a psychosomatic thing. I don't know, but that's the way I feel about it, and it just feels good now. The things that I don't love about it is, it's got the binding on it, but it's not real binding like you'd get on a Gibson, right? So you kind of feel that, you don't get the fret nibs like you get on a bound Gibson neck. It's like a faux kind of binding. It looks great, right? But it's like, to me, like, that's the kind of stuff where you're playing an Epiphone, in my opinion, right? Like, and so you might say, Matt, that's you're being ridiculous, like, that's crazy. But these are like the little things that to me set Gibson apart from Epiphone. So so you feel that's the kind of thing that you get on it, and obviously it's not a Nitro, so you're getting that. But other than that, like, it plays great and feels great. It was set up really well right out of the box. I haven't changed any of the action or anything. I tuned it up and I've just been playing it. Right. So, and I think it sounds great. It definitely has, you can definitely tell it's using the Gibson USA pickup. So there's burst buckers in this guitar. So Gibson USA burst buckers in this guitar.
They sound great, by the way.
Yeah.
The sound demo you sent me, they sound fantastic.
Yeah. So let's take a pause.
And they do capture that. They do capture that sound that you would expect to hear from this guitar.
Yeah. So since we're talking about this, we'll take a pause. I will play for you the demo I created, which is supposed to be like a Foo Fighters-esque little demo I did. It's only like a minute long. So, and I'll tell you what I did. So this is recorded going right in to my DAW using the Neural DSP Soldano amp, the Soldano model. And that's what I use. I use like the crunch channel for more of the rhythm stuff, and then the little lead stuff you hear is on the lead channel of the Soldano. That's all I did, and it's got little reverb and delay on it, which are in those of you that know about a Neural DSP, they come with effects like included in the amp in what you have in the model. So that's what you're hearing here, and here you go. So listen to it. And we're back.
All right.
What did you think, Dave?
Yeah, I think it sounds incredible. What were your exact settings on the gain?
Oh God, I didn't take a picture of what I had the Soldano settings at.
Damn you!
But you know what? I didn't. It's not super like the rhythm, that main kind of riff you hear there isn't, like I said, it's on the crunch channel, so it's not super gained.
Yeah,
out.
But
yeah, it's gained enough.
It's not
though.
super gained out,
Yeah.
but it really, it just speaks to how these pickups are done. It really does capture like that. The exact sound you kind of expect out of it. It's not, I wouldn't say it's like the Dave Grohl sound per se,
Yeah,
but it's kind of in that ilk, and it really, I think it sounds, what you did with it sounds really good.
Yeah, I think it sounds good. I mean, that's obviously all on the bridge pickup. Obviously the sound you're hearing there. But I've played this thing clean. I played it through the clean channel of my amplified Nation, and it sounds amazing. I haven't, so I'm a little bit kind of new to this. I haven't owned a semi-hollow guitar. You might be like, what? You don't own a semi-hollow guitar? No, it's never been my thing. I've never been that attracted to it. This is literally the only semi-hollow guitar I've been attracted to.
But now you know what all the buzz is about.
So there is definitely a tonal thing happening with semi-hollow guitars. Is like this kind of, distinct quality to it, which I think sounds great. So, so for me, I've been really enjoying that, and so the fact
and the playability,
yeah, and
I mean, what do you think about that?
I'll tell you what, the neck on this, for those of you that don't like a super chunky neck, this is a super chunky neck. It has more of a Gibson 58 style neck, more than chunkier than I would say a regular 59 style neck, so or a 60s neck. So it's definitely a chunky neck, which I don't usually like. But I've settled into it. I know. I was like, I don't know about this guitar. Maybe this is just a cool guitar, and I'll play it occasionally, and it's got a chunky neck, and it's what it is. But I've really been settling into it, and I actually like it quite a bit. So maybe like I'm coming around on Epiphones, and I'm coming around on fat necks. Like, what the hell is going? Who am I? Like, what is happening?
I told you. So, you can reference like every episode of the Guitar Dads where I have said, at some point you're going to come around to Epiphone and you're going to come around to chunky necks.
So the guitar,
and here we go, folks.
Yeah. So let me tell you a little bit more about the guitar. So it's got all the Gibson hardware on it.
It's got strings.
It's got updated. It's got like the Gibson, supposedly the same electronics that they will put in the Gibson. So it's all like that higher quality stuff. And it kind of comes,
which is what you're paying for.
And it kind of comes through. The thing stays in tune beautifully, right? No real problems with tuning stability. And like I said, I feel like Gibson has stepped it up a notch on these Epiphones, which I think this whole strategy that they're doing with these more expensive Epiphones, like we've talked about on previous podcasts, is they're really trying to do like this premium, like, the Epiphone that you're paying about $800 for, or $700 to $800 for, is inspired by Gibson, and this is inspired by Gibson Custom Shop, right? There's this cool logo with like the Epiphone kind of diamond logo, and it's kind of like interspersed like a Venn diagram with the Gibson Custom Shop logo. And that's what they're doing. Like, they're really trying to step it up, like give you a custom shop experience, but in an Epiphone. And I think they, you can tell it's an Epiphone, like I said, for little small things, but the quality is definitely stepped up. Does that mean it's worth $1,300 for this guitar is made in China? It says it on it, for a Chinese made guitar. I don't know, but considering that guitars are costing more and more and more, and the Gibson Custom Shop,
that's right.
Let's just be honest, the Gibson Custom Shop is completely out of control expensive. There's a Trini Lopez in Pelham Blue hanging on the Guitar Center that's local to Dave and I, and it's $6,500, right? Like
it's ridiculous.
Like I like expensive gear as much as the next guy. I got to draw the line somewhere. Like, that's just crazy.
That's right. Right? That's a pretty sharp line too.
So
right there.
So anyway. So that's the DG. So that's the DG. So
that's the DG. Now,
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, because we'll talk more about this on the Patreon. If you guys certainly want to hear about it, I'm sure everybody's all very excited about this. And there are some, there's been some negative things out there, which we'll get into on the Patreon, we'll talk about too. Patreon, staying in the Foo Fighters realm, though, because this is a guitar that kind of excites me if it does come out. Chris Shiflett, guitarist of the Foo Fighters, longtime guitarist of the Foo Fighters.
Yeah. I've heard of him.
In 2012, what do you mean you've heard of him? Of course you have. In 2012, he put out his own signature 72 Deluxe telly.
That's right.
And but it was super expensive, and it was it was like a double humbucker master build with I'm sorry, double pickup with master build with Freyland P90s, and it would just had all the accoutrements that made it super expensive. But since then, he's always wanted to kind of put out a more affordable guitar that people could access. And recently, he's been road testing what we assume is going to be his new signature, which I don't know when it's going to come out, but I believe it's going to be soon. It's currently kind of being tested, like I said. But this thing is going to also be like a double P90 telly, like in the deluxe kind of style.
Yep.
With the rosewood board and block inlays. If you watch the videos of him playing recently with the Foos, he's been featuring this guitar, so
cool.
It looks really cool.
Yeah.
So I'm quite excited about this because I'm a big Telly fan, big Les Paul fan, big Telly fan.
Yeah.
So I, this thing kind of excites me probably a lot more than the DG.
Me really?
Which is kind of crazy.
Kind of crazy.
Which is crazy, right?
That's kind of crazy, man. That's crazy. No, that's cool. I mean, look, a Telly Deluxe is pretty damn cool. The Kingfish has his Telly Deluxe that he's got the purple one, which is damn cool too. So that is so. This is probably going to be one of those Mexican made signatures that's going to come in at like $1,500.
Probably. I was just going to say, if I had to guess, I'm betting the price range is going to be in that 14 to 16 range, like everything else is these days.
No,
so
it's true.
Which I might have to go after because I haven't. I with every signature guitar we talk about on the show, I do get excited, and then that excitement kind of dies down a little bit. But this, watching the videos recently, this thing looks really cool, and just having like a dual P90 telly would be super cool.
Yeah,
and he's one of my favorite guitar players these days. Lately, I shouldn't say lately, for a long time.
Yeah, he's awesome.
But he's been kind of doing his own thing and his own solo stuff and touring. He's got his own podcast, which is really cool.
Yeah.
He's been doing a lot of stuff lately.
Yeah, he's like out and about.
He's a good dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is be interesting.
So anyway, what do you think about this real quick as we wrap? What do you think about this this new Katana Go?
Oh, I think it's dead cool.
Yeah.
So I was super skeptical of the Fender GT Micro that came out a few years back. I think I even gave I put a comment on 60 Cycle Hum's Instagram because Ryan was reviewing it. I'm like, come on, Ryan, this thing looks lame. Ryan was like, come on, man. And I was like, all right, well, I'm willing to give it a shot. And then one was gifted to me, and I was playing it, and I was like, this thing actually sounds damn good. So I'm really open to the idea of this kind of a thing. If you're someone that, needs to play in a quiet area or something with headphones on. But this has a few more features than the Fender Micro.
This has a ton
and
more
it's pretty cool. Want to talk about it, Dave, or
it's
no?
got 10. Yeah, it's got 10 amp models. Yeah. And if you're any fan of the Katana ecosystem, then that they know what they're doing with modeling.
Yeah.
And I own a Katana. I own a Katana 50, and the only reason I got rid of it was not because I didn't like the amp. It's just because I realized that I think I'm just a tube guy, and you guys know I'm a home player, so I just wanted to feel that air, and I just like the sound of a tube amp.
But then you ended up getting a Stomp, so I don't know.
Well, that was for late night playing.
I know,
That's
but you could play
thing.
the Katana late night playing too.
It was true, but it didn't have a headphone jack.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Or did it? Did it have a headphone jack?
I thought it does.
I now can't remember.
I'm almost positive the Katana has a headphone jack.
We have to look at that. But this thing has 10 amp models. It's got 30 memory slots with 3 of them accessible right on the unit itself. Yeah. You can use the Boss Tone Studio to change all these things.
Yeah.
You can switch up and down on the patches on the unit itself. It's got a built-in tuner, which is, I think, probably one of the best and coolest features of this.
Yeah, I agree.
So you can literally take this thing anywhere and with your guitar, and it's done.
And then it has this Boss Waza Air technology
Yeah, the spatial
The
audio
spatial,
technology.
is that what it's called? Okay, the
Yep.
spatial audio technology. Which do you know
Which
what
gives
is
you
that, Dave?
It's more like, from what I understand, because I haven't obviously played this, or I don't own the Waza Airs. It gives you more of that, like, that feel of, that studio quality feel, and being in the room and with a real amp and that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's right. It gives you like this stage feel, is what Boss
Stage
is what the
feel, yeah,
Boss.
stage feel, yeah,
It's like the in the room kind of feel a little bit more in headphones, which
yeah.
I've not experienced. Have you ever tried those Waza Air headphones? I've never tried those.
I have not, no.
But
No,
everybody thinks they're damn cool. So the fact that this thing has that technology built in, the thing's $120 or something.
thing's a freaking 119
I mean,
bucks. It's almost a no-brainer,
that's
for
insane.
most people.
That is insane.
If you want it, we talk about this concept all the time on the show. The late night, or we have kids or whatever,
Yep.
you have neighbors and you don't want to wake them up, whatever. You always need to have accessible options to practice, and so you don't have an excuse. This has got to be one of the bigger game-changing devices.
I don't know about that.
Recently,
game change.
Recently,
A headphone amp is a game-changing device.
Recently, for this application, yes,
I think
absolutely.
I think the Katana amp itself was a game changer. I don't know that this product is a game changer
for this application. In what this thing is, I think this is more of a game changer kind of thing. At this price point, for what you get on this device, I think this is mega cool.
I mean, the other thing that's incredibly cool about it is it has a USB-C, and it can be used as an audio interface. So that's pretty cool.
So here's the thing. Yes, that's another. I was just going to say, that's exactly. This has so many applications, and this really checks all the boxes for somebody looking for a quiet way to practice their guitar without any excuses, like we all have, and still be able to have all the fun gear that we have, and be able to play loud when you can. And this is a take anywhere, any place kind of a thing. It's all in one. I mean,
you wouldn't take it anywhere, would you?
Well, here's the thing:
take it to like a concert.
No, no, or a doctor's appointment or something. But I mean, I think if you're going to travel, if you travel with a guitar, just to screw around
I agree.
with, even
it's perfect for
right?
that. Yeah.
Like this thing, just like this packs in your carry-on luggage.
Yeah, I feel like if you're like a touring musician and you need like a super fast way, like you're in a hotel room with a laptop and you need a super fast way to get some tones down. I mean, this is, get some ideas down, I should say, like with some decent tones.
You can, because you can record with it.
This is pretty amazing. Like you put it in your pocket.
That's what I'm saying.
But
for this application, this kind of thing, this is a game changer.
Yeah, I don't know that it's a game changer. There's other things that do this, right? You could just get
what other things do this?
Like for that application I just talked about, you could get an iRig.
As good?
You can get an iRig and use a host of different modeling things that you could just have on a laptop. Like if you have a laptop, you kind of have almost a limitless, possibility of what you can do as long as you have an interface into it. And the iRig is a damn cheap way to get a guitar into a laptop. So,
but you need to have a laptop with an iRig. With this,
no, you don't. No, I'm just saying for
that
application I just said.
Right.
And that's part of the reason why
you don't need a laptop with this.
No, I know.
Yeah.
But I'm saying part of the reason why it's cool is because it also can do that. It can also be an audio interface. So
here's the bottom line. If you're looking for like that kind of an application, you're a touring musician, you want to take something on the road to practice or to record with, get some ideas down, like Matt said, or you're just looking for a late night practice thing anywhere in your house, like this, to me, this is like, I don't know. It's a no-brainer. It's an absolute for 119 bucks. Cool thing. Pick it up.
Here's the other thing.
Yeah.
It has a Tone Studio app that it lets you stream directly to YouTube or like make your Instagram videos and stuff. like directly.
Oh,
with,
I didn't read that.
With
That's
like direct.
okay.
Yeah.
Game changer.
And that's pretty cool. I mean, that is cool.
Game changer.
That's cool.
Yeah, this is.
But how
this
does
is
it
a
do
no-brainer.
that?
Go pick one up.
Like, wouldn't there be like? I guess you're just recording it.
This is a different pod.
Yeah, that's cool.
Different
I guess
podcast.
it's recording. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm impressed.
Pretty cool.
Anyway.
Well, anyway, as we wrap, and we will bring all the gear stuff to the Patreon episodes. If you want to hear more of that, go over to patreon.com/Guitar Dads Podcast, where you can support the show, get some extra content from us if you want it. God forbid.
Yeah, geez.
We bless your souls if you want extra content
you
from us.
for wanting it.
And thank you so much to our patrons that are already supporting. Thank you to our loyal listeners. Thank you if you're checking us out for the first time. Please come back next week. Check us out at Guitar Dads Podcast over on the gram, at Guitar Dads Podcast group over on the book. I'm going to keep saying it. And
Facey page.
I don't know. Did I get everything?
Yeah, you got
what
everything.
Do you think? All right. Well, I think that was this week's Guitar Dads Podcast.
Rock Alive will catch you on the